So what is his name again? Is he going to be on the?
Franklin? No, you don't have to be. Okay. I might mention him. Okay. Don't worry about that.
And I hope you are ready to dance limits of the imagination. Here on Children of the Sun, WSTX AM 970, because you have joined us. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the weekend, because if you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means it is a Friday afternoon, and it is, in fact, Friday, March 31st, 2023. And so welcome, good afternoon to my listeners in Csted, Frederickstead, Kings Hill, why not, Buck Island, why not, St. Thomas, St. John, Water Island, our sister islands in the Caribbean, Up Island, Josh Van Dyke, BB Island General, St. Kitts, Nevis, Antigua, Down Island, Aruba, and actually welcome to the world, because we are also streaming live over Facebook and Twitch TV. You can catch us on the radio station's website, wstxradio.com. Just click the listen live icon. We are really excited today to be joined in the studio by a bunch of talented musicians with the Sebastian Franks album release party taking place at Levels tomorrow, Saturday, April 1st, 8 p.m. Doors open. Music starts at 9. And you're going to go to, they're saying 11. I don't believe it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You know how St. Clair is, man.
Party goes until it's done. They're saying 9 too. We'll see about that.
Yeah. All right. So welcome. So let's we got Legrand, Lee, Sebastian Franks, T-Rock on drums. So let me put you guys on Facebook. Let me turn the camera around. All right, cool. All right. Now, so you guys would, wow, so you're doing a double album release.
Yeah.
So kind of a long story.
Yeah.
So like none of it really happened by design or intention. You know, this was something where I had kind of reached out to Sebastian when I came off the road with Akibeka. And
let me get.
Oh, we got callers calling in already. What? They done hung up.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, we came off the road with Akibeka, and God rest his soul. Von Benjamin, man, was just an incredible teacher. And so, when the dust settled and kind of started thinking about music again, I really didn't have a purpose to want to keep going or playing. And so I was just talking to Sebastian. We go back over 20 years playing music. We studied in music conservatory together.
Where was music conservatory?
Music school. Like we studied under a famous jazz bassist named Jeff Berlin.
Oh.
And so long story short, man, like we always been in touch. We founded a band together here called the Politrix. We co-founded that band
back in the day. Yeah,
back
in the day. Early 2005, 2006, something like that.
Yeah. So I had to reach out to him in early 2020, right? And so we were just trying to figure out a way to try to get just some of this pent up tension, right? Everybody's on lockdown,
yeah.
And what are we doing? And so we started, I was able to convince Sebastian to invest in like a major recording rig for his home studio. And so we started a remote recording project, and he would write these cell phone scratch recordings every day. He would send them down.
What is a cell phone scratch recording?
Basically just using a voice memo. I found that as much as I hate technology, it's also kind of a necessary evil. And I found that the voice memo feature on my phone is the most useful songwriting technique.
Like if an idea comes to you, just dictate and don't.
Yeah, it's one thing. I've always done it, pen and paper. Just I've never been one to type stuff out. It's just how it naturally comes out. And You know,
You might want to lean into the mic a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah. So it was just the voice memo thing I found is yeah, it just you get a quick idea down and then you don't forget it because it's sometimes the inspiration comes and goes in a heartbeat, and if that's the tough thing about being a musician. It doesn't always make you money, so you're working a day job and it takes away from the creative side of things, and it's always but yeah, so having that quick little like notebook kind of feature on the phone helped me to capture that. So I'd basically record a voice memo with a click track on it, send it to them. They build a beat around it, and then send it back, and we do all
build
the
everything around it, and yeah. So we built out these tracks, and then we bring in the session musicians, T-Rock, you know, Peter Willock, another drummer, very talented drummer, worked with us a lot on this album, and so we were able to finish the first album. And we got this guy just once those creative, you know, juices started flowing for him from getting out those first 10 songs on album 1, it just spilled right out into a second album.
Yeah, it's like
we just didn't even stop. We just kept going.
10 songs on each album. 10 songs is a lot for an album.
So to give you perspective, I mean, like when album 1 dropped, album 2 was already done. Album 2 just dropped, right? Album 3 is almost done.
Wow.
And that's how, you know, we tried to take a page out of the Midnight Akibeka, you know, force, because that's what they were, man. Those guys were writing machines. You know, Vaughn was a guy that Vaughn would turn a hotel room, an Airbnb, into a recording studio.
I saw a picture one time of him in his bedroom, and it was not I know not so much about the equipment, but it's just like books and notes everywhere.
Yeah, big writer and
big reader.
But you know, we wanted to you know,
and you
take a page
you went on tour with him, and what did you write, and what did you learn from going on tour? Like,
well,
like
you know, this, I guess sometimes you just gotta be grateful for what you get in life, man. You know, I never had any aspiration to be in that band, right? And I'll tell you why. Because that band was out of my league. That when I came to Midnight at 23, 24 years old, only playing guitar maybe 1 year, and it was something that, you know, me and Sebastian, we rolled these shows together, and there was just something spiritual that was happening. We were taking the echoes of these shows and going back to our rehearsal studios and our first band houses and trying to imitate what we were seeing on the stage from these players. And so, you know, fast forward, you know, we ended up forming the Politrix and ended up going to music school and all this stuff. But you know, I think just the work ethic of this group is straight from the influence of Midnight and Akibeka, because that's what I told Sebastian from the start. I said, we don't want to work with someone that's not going to do anything with us. You know, we want to work with an artist that's going to write albums and then actually go out and promote it and do something with it. You know, a lot of people can just become complacent, right? You do something and it goes on a shelf.
Right.
And we really wanted to make sure that we were writing just soul connectful type of music that's really going to help people heal, you know, provide guidance, all these kinds of things. So, you know, it's just a little backdrop, you know, on a lot of fun, man. I mean, I would go out to L. I would get all my work done.
We got Russ Element is the one that facilitated all these recordings.
He's our producer.
He's kind of the
and he plays on the songs.
He's the bass player, MIDI. He does all the MIDI stuff. Some of the drum tracks that are electronic. Yeah.
So L was I want to say around 14 years in altogether with Midnight, and you know, we're just grateful to work with somebody like him, because it just, you know, the experience that we're able to harness into our music, man, it's priceless.
Yeah.
You
well,
know?
And all this stuff was recorded, mixed, and mastered by Russ Element Records. So it's a really special space, you know, the sound of it and everything, and so it's pretty good. good journey.
But yeah, I just say, be grateful for what you get, because I never envisioned myself being in that band. And when I got the call, I wasn't ready, right? But, they have a saying, the Bible says that, seek God and his kingdom first, and all these things shall be added.
Right.
You check. So it was one of these things where, God was in my heart and music was in my heart. And it was just a matter of application, applying myself. And that's kind of how my life has been with music. I'm not a guy that, plays every day and practices every day. I have to set goals and work towards them. So if there isn't goal setting and manifestation going on, I probably wouldn't be in music. But with these guys, we get together and cool ideas come up for albums, or, different musical projects, or to play a show. And I think at the end of the day, that's what keeps me going, and just going back to the experiences that I've had personally, man. I would have loved to had a 20-year run in that band, but I wasn't ready. It took 18 years of God preparing me for the last year and change that I got out on the road with them. And I wouldn't change that for the world, you know what I mean? And I mean, I just really am thankful for guys like Tough Lion, guitarists like Tough Lion. I mean,
huge inspiration. Yeah.
We'll get into him, especially him, a little later. Guys like Abijah, Kenny Byron, who I came after Kenny Byron. And man, these guys, I sat with all these guys before. I can tell you personal stories, whether it's hotel balcony on tour somewhere, or it's in the street of Frederickstead sitting on a bench with two guitars. You know what I mean? I've had interactions with these top VI guitarists, and these guys were just major, major influences. That then I took that experience and then went and found recordings and started imitating and internalizing and spending time to then develop my own style. I didn't want to sound like anyone. I wanted to sound like me, so.
And you guys are like going down for the performances before you were in the band. You were like
oh, when I was in high
like
school,
a groupie almost.
Yeah, it was. I remember seeing Midnight play out of Cane Bay before they moved off island up to DC and kind of started.
I think. Oh, I gotta. I have a funny. I think was that like 2001, 2002, something like that.
I feel like it was 97 that I might have seen them the first time.
No. Oh, okay, but they were at Cane Bay.
Yeah, they were playing like full moon parties, I think.
I was introduced to Midnight by a guy who was visiting from Kansas, who was an art major in college, and he randomly bought a Midnight CD at the college bookstore in Kansas, and he was so blown away, he came here for like 6 months because he just wanted to hear Midnight. And he was telling me how great, and he gave me some CDs, like, this is really good. It's like, this is really good. But he was at, I think it was Galloway Records across from in Sunny Isle, and the guy was telling me, yeah, Midnight's going to be playing tomorrow night at Cane Bay. So he was telling, he and his wife and me and my wife, we were all going to go there. Long story short, we got there like 2 hours early because we wanted to get a good seat. And the beach was trashed. And we went in and asked the bartender at the restaurant, what time does the concert start? Oh man, were you there? It was fantastic.
The night before.
You never saw a sadder person than the guy from Kansas.
1 day late. Yeah.
What? And you play drums with you're playing drums like let him share the mic. That's how we always do.
Yeah.
When Ross Elman's not too busy to play the MIDI drums, you're on it, right?
Yes,
Tell us about how long tell us about what your experience has been. I'm looking for also the spiritual experience, like the music, because Midnight and Akaveka were like and the lyrics are like a very spiritual approach to life, right? And how does that? But as musicians, I think like the spirituality of the lyrics kind of like infuses how you play, and so I'm wondering about that's my theory. I'm sticking to it. So I want to see what I was just wondering what you guys think of that idea.
Well, as far as playing music, especially reggae music, well, music in general, um, you can play the music and just play the music, or you can play the music and play it with feeling.
Yeah.
Because when you play music, yes, you're playing it for yourself, but you're also playing it for the masses of people who's gonna support and listen to it. So you want to create that feeling, that vibe that you have inside that you want to share.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it.
And it's a commitment because, just to add to what he's saying, um, there's going on stage and pleasing yourself, and then
Yeah.
there's going on stage and pleasing people. Now, me as a guitarist, I love ripping a guitar apart, man, but that's not appropriate. You know what I mean? In a conscious reggae setting,
There's a time and place.
there's a time and
right.
place, and it's a very meditative sport, right?
Right.
So every note is a communication. Every note is a feeling. It's a mood. It's something that you're just injecting to what's going on already, and doing too much and bringing too much or the wrong types of notes, sounds, whatever. Yeah, that interrupts the spiritual wavelength that's kind of being created. The drums here, man. I mean, like T-Rock, wow. Like my first show with this guy was, I think we were on a show with Beanie Man and Yellow Man and all these men way back in the day, man. But I mean, I've only connected with this guy on shows like that. I've never been in a small band with T-Rock, and this is the first kind of like group that we've created, and I was able to incorporate him into this and move forward with it. But I mean, my experience with this guy, it's like certain people you only see on big stages, and this man right here is one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. And what do you think? Look, see, I've also heard it the other way. It's like musician should play for himself and not try to be a people pleaser, like pleasing the crowd, and like honor your own internal artistic guidance.
Yep.
But I mean, uh, right? But it seems, but
It's a combination.
yeah, but
man,
it's like
yeah.
you're playing meditatively, spiritually, because that's what you want to. That is your own internal guidance at the time, and you're communicating that with the audience, as opposed to like just being a selfish jerk and doing completely inappropriate shredding, right?
Well, I think before the vibes and the feeling gets to the audience, the band members have to do that on stage. We have to share that vibes amongst it. So not being competitive, but every musician has to be on top of their game, on tip top. So if I'm at the top of my game tonight, that's gonna make him sing even much better because he's feeling my drums back there. Oh, he's gonna give me some guitar out of the world
Right.
because so it's a vibe amongst the band. So once we get that vibe and that vibe is so strong, then it starts to radiate out.
And you
into
can,
the
when
audience.
you're watching a band play, you can tell if there's
Yes,
friction
yes.
and egos and stuff like that.
One thing that's been really impressive for me, I've never, and I told these guys at rehearsal last night, but it's just I've never been in a situation where I've had a certain level of musician with that certain level of commitment to a common goal. And you're saying playing, whether you're playing for yourself or the crowd, and it's I think of the lyric like "Free your mind and the rest will follow," and I think it's all a part of it. Like if you're satisfying that the thing that you need, I think that if you're respecting that musicality of yourself and you're listening to everything else, that I think that's the big thing is you got to be willing to let other people in. It's the listening is almost more important than the actual playing, because if you, like you said, you can rip a solo or something, but if it's not appropriate, you're gonna have everybody looking like, what's this all-star doing over here? Like, who got the
Didn't
and
get the memo.
yeah, I mean, you can have an all-star team, but if they don't play together,
Yeah.
it doesn't gel. So, and that's something that has been really special about this. You're asking what's the spiritual thing. I'm personally not a man of God, but I believe that I am spiritual, and I believe that the universe has a purpose for everybody, and that we're all on a certain path, and the certain choices that we make kind of guide that path. And to be in the emotions that I felt, I mean, we basically have taken these recordings, and from Monday until today have made them real. We've all heard them for the first time ever in a real live setting.
Oh wow!
Which is incredibly special. Last night we finally had everybody together. We've been playing with the drummer, and then we played the keyboard player, and trying to get everybody on synced up. And it's never been a question of like, you know, are we going to be able to do this? It's going to be like, what is it going to sound like? And now we're starting to really see what it sounds like. And I can tell you that you're not going to want to miss this one, because it's really special. The emotions that I've gone through just this week have been so incredibly intense. And I know that it's because of this level of commitment from the musicians, the people that believe in this project, and that, I don't know, that are just serving the music. I think there's no, all the egos are checked at the door. Nobody's bringing that into the studio.
This
We're
is like
all
a continuation of a legacy.
absolutely, and
we're all
it's
like affected. I don't know, like all of you were. It's like Vaughn's
Impacted.
music impact doesn't die.
Yeah.
It's just like the continuation.
there's a tight unit amongst these musicians.
You're
and
like
with the
playing for him as
relationships.
much as for yourself. You're like,
Sure. Yeah. No, yeah. But that's something I realized, that I'm coming into this circle of this people that have this connection. Legrand is kind of my connection to everybody up until recently, and now I've kind of developed these personal connections with people. But you know, up until that point, that there was no chemistry other than the recordings, and that had to kind of speak for itself when we were all separate. I mean, there were only a couple times it was summer of 2021, I think, that I came down and did some recording in the studio, and that was the first time after we hadn't released the first album yet, but we were getting ready to, and we were working on album 2 and finishing that up. And
well, when you say release, like tomorrow night's the album release party for both albums. Is
right?
That like you put it on YouTube or something?
Well, the albums have been out, but it's because, I mean, it was the timing of everything.
Right,
you know, nobody was traveling, and
lockdown.
so we just kind of buckled down and just focused on doing the studio work. That was something we knew we could do. We could create work, and when people aren't out live, you know, build the song catalog, and that's what we're doing.
You had something to do. That was your project during the
idle
lockdown.
hands, man.
A lot of people too. I mean, you know, they take the wrong approach. You know, we have a lot of talent here in the VI, right? Like undisputed. You know, but the issue I think that I see is the approach with a lot of young artists, and you know, sometimes you gotta focus more on like building the ship before you decide where you want to sail it. You know what I mean? Like the old saying, putting the cart before the horse. You know, people that get into promoting themselves and try to dive into the music business before they even have anything to bring to the music business. So, you know, at least Sebastian has almost 3 albums, right? And now we're coming in and playing the first, you know, just a different approach. I told him that, look, man, that, you know, this is something that if I'm going to do this, I want us to be dropping at least an album a year. I want to write 25 albums with you, and I want to, you know what I mean? And I want to.
Wow.
There's a certain standard that I have, you know, that I learned, and so now it's just to go out and replicate that, right? A pathway, man. Midnight laid out a pathway for everyone in this territory to do something for themselves, recording wise, promote their little thing, and go out there on the road and leverage opportunities to get tours and dates out there. Everyone here is capable of doing it, but yet, you know, it's a very, very small percentage of people. So where are people getting hung up, right? It's in the works. You know, you can't put other things before the work. You know, we have a song called "Focus Till the Work Is Done," and you know that tune is just so fitting because you know we lose focus. We lose focus in life, and then sometimes you know we lose focus and we wonder why things didn't turn out quite the way we envisioned them originally when we set out. And it all goes back to your focus, your motives, your intentions. Why are you doing this?
Mhm.
You know, well, I'll be honest here on the air, right?
Okay.
I got into this thing for girls, man. I was a dork, you know, out of college, moved down here from Florida. I was born here but raised up there, and came down here, and no one knew me, and I needed an outlet.
That's like
And just
Every
being
mus-
transparent, right?
that's like every musician in the world.
But you know,
right?
when I went to music school and I sat in a practice closet for 3 years, playing 8 to 10 hours a day, he'll tell you,
Oh, yeah.
you know, playing till 4 in the morning, you know what I mean? Like all kinds of crazy practice regimens, right? And living, eating, breathing, and sleeping this thing is when those egos and things started to shed. When I came back to St. Croix, and you know, after music school, I was going around looking for work, and I really didn't know what to do. I didn't have my instruments down here, and I used to walk from La Valley side on payday to Montbijou, to a little shop up there, and I would just go in like a bathing suit and a tank top, and not even flip flops, barefoot. And I had a little ukulele that I put a camera strap on, so it was strapped up, a ukulele. And I would walk 10 miles with this ukulele. And one day, someone pull up, watch out, Max, pull back. And I said, what? You know what I mean? And this car comes in reverse, and these two Rasta people, you know, and it turned out to be Saji, big producer from here named Saji, who's produced a General, and his Empress Maxine. And I'll never forget that day. Saji discovered me on the side of a road
Were
with a
you playing while
ukulele
you were
on
walking?
top of Blue Mountain. That's why I would bring the ukulele
And you
to
would
go on
play?
10-mile walk and play.
Wow.
And so Saji bring me into General. You know, so I was basically in the Eye Lion band with these guys and playing. And the experiences, man, you know, hey, what time sound check? 10 o'clock. I go at 10 a.m. I'm the only soul there. You know what I mean? And then 6 hours later at 4, everyone showed. You know, I had to learn these things. And these experiences, they shed more and more and more ego. Before it was all said and done, man, I just wanted a partner that would give me beautiful children, always be loyal and true to me, and I let go, you know, just more and more killing of the self, of the ego, you know. But these experiences, man, is what shaped me. You know what I mean? What shaped me, what gave me the ability to even be in someone like Von Benjamin's presence, because this was a very serious, hyper focused guy that was a no nonsense kind of character, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you came in with a lot of, you know, just energy that didn't fit, you were not going to be around the circle long. So my motto was just to shut up, stay in my lane, and do my job, you know? And that's still my motto, you know? I let these guys, you know, I like to create things and let people run with it, man. I like, you know, I've always been like a conduit, is what one of my friends nicknamed me a long time ago, like an electrical conduit, man, because I connect and wire people together, you know?
Cool. I mean, that's actually a place for that in the world. I mean, sometimes the most important thing you can do is connect people.
Yeah, be a facilitator.
Be a facilitator. Sometimes things don't happen, like some major things happen because the right two people met each other.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me put some music on. How do you think about that?
Sure.
Sounds good, yeah.
Boom, boom. And you guys are going to be just letting people know once again. You're going to be at Levels.
Yeah,
What,
that's
Club 54?
No, it's
No.
Yeah, so it's Club Levels. It's right across from Monteria, and yeah, it's a really nice spot. They got a really nice stage back there, and I think the vibes are going to be.
What did it used to be?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, it used to be 54.
Yeah.
That's what I said. All right, so it used to be 54. downtown Christiansted, across from Luxuria, where you can have your burrito with the chickens.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The whole experience.
Tomorrow, 8 p.m. doors open.
Yes.
So it's going to be Sebastian Franks, Legrand, Josephya, Lee, T-Rock, Tyrone, Davis on drums, Ross Element.
Rossell will be playing bass, and we'll have Sir and Fenton playing keys.
Yeah. So Surin was the founding keyboardist for Aki Beka. When Vaughn came back out as Aki Beka, Surin went out on the road with them and as a keyboardist. And it was funny. We were all worried this week, Oh, this man ain't been playing keys, and we ain't, just all these.
Oh,
and Surin came into the first session and nailed it, just bam. And,
he was dancing around.
It's like we all felt so much better.
He was playing extra stuff and lead lines, all stuff. I was like, yeah, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right.
Okay. Let's see. All right. So this is through the Easter off the Remember What You're Fighting For album.
Yes, first album.
And you guys told me just pick what I like, so. It was actually, I can't play all 20 songs on the show, so it was more like a question of, which one do I want to give up, and which one do I like. Remember What You're Fighting For album seems to be more. I don't want to use the word melancholy, but I don't know, just not melancholy, laid back, kind of just taking it easy, and then A Place We Know was more like revisiting the past.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely the timing of it. I mean, we were recording the first album, Remember What You're Fighting For, in summer of 2020, and I remember being just with everything that was happening. You had a lot of race riots that were going on, and the whole killing of George Floyd, and just the really intense stuff. I mean, with the pandemic, and everybody's already going through a ton of stuff, and then you have this extra layer of just what are we doing? What is going on here? And I think that's when a lot of that just kind of eventually pushed me to a tipping point where it kind of came out. So the first album, I think, was kind of like a therapy of getting that emotion to come out, getting it out on paper. I mean, they're not all sad songs, but there's definitely it's definitely there was kind of a heaviness.
A recovery.
There was a heaviness, and coming out of just being beaten and battered with just life in general, I think. And the album too was definitely kind of a rebirth, I'd say.
No, it's definitely, man. I mean, I know for me personally, and I can speak probably for a lot of the fans around the world, that when Akibeka transitioned, that someone that was very close to us was taken away, right?
Right.
Was no longer here,
And that was not. I mean, it was sudden. It was shocking.
It was
not
shocking. It
unexpected.
was shocking. I got a
I
call
wanna
at
make sure
2
people
in the
know that,
morning,
yeah.
and I remember like it was yesterday. And what I think it did to me is it made me kind of question, like, because like I told you, I never set out to play in that band. So when it happened, it was very divine for me personally, right? That's how I looked at it.
Oh yeah.
And then
right,
how I
right.
also
And
looked
then-
at it was that, well, who else are you going to play with after this? Like, where do you go, right?
Yeah.
General, Junior P. Like, I can go down the list of all the different artists, successful bands. I remember going and playing in Love City Live and opening for Dwayne Stevenson T-Rock. You remember that show with Junior P? We went over there and just rocked this show in St. John. Just all these incredible experiences as a musician. We used to back Tia. And, once I got to play with Vaughn and all the grooming and everything that I went through from the band, from him, just all the way around, and then it was over like that, it was like, where do you go from here?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
There was no motivation to want to play. And one thing about me and Sebastian, so like we met in 2004, and when I met him, he revealed this to me later, but he already like packed up all his guitars and put them up and was figuring out a new path with his life. You know what I mean? And was convinced that music wasn't it because of the hurt and the letdown and whatever. That was 20 years ago, 22 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that torch has been passed back and forth.
Oh, we
and
passed the flame around for sure. Yeah.
He was the one that, I called him, but it was like in talking to him, it just made sense. It's like, this is who you're supposed to play with, and I mean, there's some things that I really can't, the relationship between me and this brethren here is so deep that there's things I can't even talk about on the radio, personal things that I went through that this man supported me through, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Personal things, rehabilitative type things where I had to rebuild my whole life, and Sebastian was there for me. I remember calling him from like the Ziggy Marley song, A Beach in Hawaii. On the beach in Hawaii. I called this man from Hawaii one day, and I was out there rebuilding my life. You know what I mean? And then it was crazy. The room that they had prepared for me in there in Hawaii, I don't know how they knew, but they put a guitar in it. Like they knew who I was, but they put a guitar in my room.
Wow.
My recovery room, right? And so, I started, every day, man, 10 hours a day, don't sleep at night, play. And when I left there and came back to the Virgin Islands, it was only about a matter of a couple weeks before I got the call to go play for Akibeka. So I've manifested.
That's like biblical.
I manifested something crazy.
Yeah, no, that's
in Hawaii.
That's like biblical. That's like
Oh man,
that's a miracle.
And it's not coincidences anymore. I am totally convinced that everything is meant to happen. That's happening.
Yeah. I stopped believing in coincidences about 30 years ago.
But just the people. I mean, running into Phil Pix. He's been coming through the studio with us, and he's a legendary bass player.
One of the original Midnight bassists, and had to have tragic story. People from the VI know who Phil Merchant Pix is. Had a very promising solo career that was cut short because of violence, you know what I mean? And so I remember being in music school when Phil was on top, right? Me and Sebastian I would write Phil like fan letters. I would write Tough Lion fan letters, right? And Phil would write me back.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? Phil would write me back. Tough Lion would write me back. When Tough Lion came to St. Croix, I think he was recording one of the 10-string albums by I-Grade, and I got a call from Tippy. Hey man, Tough Lion wants to see you. You know what I mean? I always appreciated that call because that guy meant so much, means so much to me. Just that I from sitting with him once and talking to him one time.
Because you wanted to encourage a young musician.
That's all. That's all he does, man. This man is all about, you know what I mean, just spreading the legacy, growing it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it seems to me like reggae music on St. Croix, music in general, jazz. Well, I guess, and I can't. Now I'm stuck. Jazz is good, Kelly's good, reggae is good, but the music scene on St. Croix seems to be especially vibrant and real and alive.
There's a lot of talent here.
There's a lot of
Yeah, I mean that's why I was just posting about something like the tiny little dot in the Caribbean, and like somebody asked me one time from the States, was like, "Aren't you worried about hurricanes?" I was like, you know, it's still a little dot in the Caribbean, and 90% of them they miss us, but every one of them lines up on the east coast of the U.S.
You got
like, oh, I never thought of that.
You got a lot of reasons for it, though. I mean, obviously, you know, the all of the descendants from Africa, right? And Africans are musical people going all the way back to Africa, right? They created music, right? The foundations of music, you know, are from Africa. The foundations of everything, really. But, you know, when you look at it here in the Caribbean, a small place, nothing to do. And then, you know, they incorporated music into the schools. So you have people like Stan Joins, Khadija Kwabena, a lot of other local teachers. I leave anyone out? Who are some other teachers, T-Rod?
Right now, I know Sonny T, Arthur Brown, he's doing some teaching as well.
So I think Kevry Hendricks, his I mean, big, you know, Soca Calypso started is now in the system teaching.
Wow.
So giving back. So what that does is, man, you just have
Khadija.
You just got these. He's a piano teacher, I believe, at one of the schools. But you just have this massive upcoming of young soldiers, musical, right? You go to America, you don't see the same kind of fire. Don't get me wrong. There's talent. There's 400 million people, right? There has to be talent. But for 60,000 people to be saturated like this, and you look who's from the VI, right?
Yeah.
You know, we already talked about Midnight a lot. You know, you got so many different artists. You know, Pressure, and I could keep going on and on and on. You know, you got guys like Rock City. You got musicians like instrumentalists like Rashawn Ross. Do you know who that is? Rashawn Ross. You ever heard of him? He's a trumpet player from St. Thomas. He's been Dave Matthews' trumpet player since the inception of the band.
Wow. No,
a St. Tomian.
I heard
Dave I mean, you know how many likes I get? You know how many likes I get when I drop a post? Like maybe 5 or 6. When Rashawn Ross drops a post, and he's just a trumpet player. He's just another sideman like me. 800-900. I mean, the real fame from this island, man. And so there's definitely there's something here. There's an energy here.
And is the St. Croix like Rasta scene more? It's like roots reggae, like more talking about the daily lived experience of people as opposed to like the dance hall kind of thing where, like, you know, partying and stuff that you get with.
Well, I think with our music, the reggae music coming out of the Virgin Islands, mainly St. Croix, is life experience. People speaking of like, it's not made up stuff. It's things that they actually experience, things that they're actually living. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier as far as feeling. Like, you don't want to just sing a song about poverty and then you're just mentioning things about poverty, but you're not really trying to give the feeling, or, you know, for an example like that.
We're like really resonating because it's exactly every time you're saying stuff like, I'm like, that was it. That's it. It's like a lived experience, not like a story about because you know it's going to be a good song.
Right. And one of the things that I love about our small community is the fact that a lot of us are musicians, and on top of that, we are friends, veterans, family. So it's like you get to play music with your best friends as opposed to just hanging out with your best friends. So that makes it even that much more.
Yeah, you guys make me feel like
full.
I need to go back to school and learn how to play an instrument.
It's a pleasure, and You know, I give thanks to Sebastian and Legrand because they gave me so much room to create. Just this is the timing, this is whatever, and create something. Give me something, whatever is in your head. So I give thanks for that space to be able to create.
Well, you gotta know who you're dealing with. You know,
Yeah.
there's a time to tell
There's some
someone
people
what
you,
to play,
you
and there's
turn
a time to
loose, and
shut up
some
and say,
people
"Please
you're like,
grace us." You know what I mean? And so,
Hey,
I'm the
what
kind of guy you tell what to play. You know what I mean?
like, hey, turn it down a little bit over there in the corner. Yeah, you're blasting us out, man. Hey, hold that solo for another few bars.
But yeah, man. I mean, this thing, like, you know, you're talking about just, you know, the culture and stuff, man. And we need more young people getting in it. You know, we need the next Vaughn, we need the next Desiree, and hopefully they're out there. Hopefully they're listening, and they understand that, you know, there's one thing I can say, right? And all these pop music and everything else, you know, people's careers perish. You know what I mean? Dance hall, you know, they go jail. You know, watch Vibes Cartel, watch a lot of these people. They're all caught up in problem. But if you watch the conscious reggae scene, right? These men are living their best life. You know, you watch guys like Damien Jr., Gong Marley. Watch a man like Von Benjamin. Watch Desiree right now trotting down to Brazil. You know, big tours. You know, and if people could just have a little faith that these things are real, but it's you know, we've eaten our share of dirt to get to this point, and don't think that it's going to be easy. You know, I see a lot of people giving up, especially youngsters right now, man. There's too much of an instant gratification culture going on, and kids don't have staying power anymore to sit there and tough through things. And that's the biggest thing that I can kind of like tell young people right now is to develop resiliency, because the world's only getting harder to live in, you know, and more confusing to live in. So the more sure you can be about something, and the more grounded you can be, and you know, behind something, behind what you're passionate about, is just always gonna behoove you more, you know, be to your betterment.
Well, I think also like the community is such a big part in that. Like kids growing up with music, like having a music store is a huge deal. Like when I go into a music store now, I still get the same feeling of when I was a little kid and I first walk in. You got all the guitars hanging on the walls, and like there's a full drum room over there with just every cymbal you could ever want. And that's an incredible feel. It's like walking into a candy store for me. And a lot of kids down here don't have that experience because there's like the music is, there's so much music, and there's a lot of people that want to do it, but there's nobody really facilitating that. And I think that's something that, you know, I really want to try to cultivate. I'm, you know, trying, like with this whole project, you know, we're really blessed to have Ross Element at Ross Element Records to help us. He's a very talented engineer, and I think that there's a lot of people that could benefit from linking up with him. And I think it's a matter of just kind of connecting the community. And I think music is such a powerful way to do that. So yeah, I mean, that's part of the message here. We're trying to spread that love, get that music out there, and get people interested in it and to want to be inspired. I mean, where we're playing this Saturday, tomorrow night at Levels, that's where we got our first show ever. We opened for we were playing as the Politricks, and we started doing an open mic there for a while, trying to get our foot in the door. Eventually, we built it up to the point where we were able to have an hour's worth of material. It
wasn't Levels then, though.
No, it was a different name.
And politics. When were you around?
That was like 2006.
2006,
So
2007.
I think I might have heard you. I didn't know you, but I mean,
so
you were like, well, you can tell from the name.
We did that for a bit, and then Legrand and I went to school, and I came back, and he stayed up at school, and I kind of came back and continued playing as a trio down here. And so we tried to keep it going for a bit, and then then eventually I moved back to the States to pursue other things. And
I don't know if you remember or not, my wife babysitted your little girl, or like watching her.
I do remember that. Wow.
She
Yeah,
said
man.
she's wanted me to tell you that she was the sweetest little girl she's ever met.
It's cool. Yeah.
How did you get Russell Ferry to do all your artwork for your album?
That was
Who do you know?
yeah, no, same thing, man. I mean, when I came to Sebastian, I told him that kind of like what I said earlier. I said, "Dude, this ain't a hard thing to do. There's a roadmap already. There's a roadmap. Let's just follow the roadmap."
Right. Oh yeah.
Vaughn laid down the roadmap.
No need to reinvent the wheel.
So we used Elijah for the first 2 albums, and I've personally met Elijah in different music festivals and stuff. He's a really, really just devoted Rastafarian brother.
Amazing person to talk to.
And he's on the UN Peace Council, and this is a man that just has a real vision about humanity, and it comes through in his artwork. And so that was something that I couldn't really. We'd reached out to I got a bad artist in West named Marcus. Big up Marcus. And but just the timing didn't work out, and but there's more albums coming, so be on the call, Marcus. Be on the lookout. But yeah, that's
free up some space there. Free up some time.
Elijah. We think
some pieces.
with the first album, right, really nailed it on the head.
Yeah.
And the second album, we were like, Sebastian had named the album A Place We Know, and Sebastian's been living up in Maine for several years now, up in the Northeast, and so Elijah comes with, this big buck deer, right, in a forest, staring at you, and then on the back cover, a wolf.
The back cover is pretty.
And I remember calling St. Croix. I remember calling Sebastian. I said, "What part of St. Croix you see a wolf?" You know what I mean? I was vexed. You know what I mean? But what happened is like, over time, man, I listened to the album more and more, and then that deer started making me feel a certain way. Watching that deer in the eye and the drawing, and then it just
this morning at my house.
Yeah, deer, right?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen multiple every trip, every day. Trip.
I get deer from time to time, but it's not a daily occurrence, and I could have easily not even. I just happened to be looking out that window at that time, and now you're this morning. I mean now, and I wasn't even. I wasn't even thinking about the show today or this album cover, which you sent me the artwork for, until just now you're talking about the deer, and I'm like, that's one of the deer was at my house.
Yeah, it's cool. He actually, I kind of told him for the second album, I had kind of an idea, a loose idea of what I was going for, and I said some type of forest thing and animals and. And it was very vague.
Some kind of forest.
Yeah, it was very vague. Because I don't have that visual art, like that visual art kind of thing. It's not my jam. It doesn't materialize in my brain. But and so he was like, he came back to me and he's like, so I want you to what are the first 3 animals that come off the top of your head that you can think of? And, it's like a wolf, a buck, and a blue heron. Because those are all kind of things I see. I mean, I don't see wolves that often, but in where I'm living, it's not an uncommon thing. They're around. There's predators and all.
They're around.
And
you got a couple. But as a child, too, my son.
Yeah, but as a child, I don't know. I always kind of there was something about the wolf that it was just like. It's similar to like the lion in the reggae music, where it's just like a very fierce creature and powerful, and it's like king of its territory and kind of.
Right.
So it just seemed when he came back with that to me, it was like at first I was like, it's not really what I'm. And then I actually got the original pieces that are hanging on my wall at home now, and so I'm looking at this stuff and it's looking right back at me, and it's intense. It's intense. It's incredible art.
The one I saw this morning doesn't have the antlers like this, but a lot of times I see deer that are most of them don't have antlers.
Yeah.
Some of them, But this one, that was the one thing I noticed about this particular deer. He really had full-grown antlers, more than I normally see around. Not as big as this, but not getting there.
Yeah.
I mean, like noticeable for a cruising deer. That,
One thing I really liked about it too, though, was the first sketch he sent me was with the face with the antlers, and it looked like these two hands over his head, kind of holding up the moon almost. And I was like, that's cool. I like. Hopefully, you keep it like that. It's a neat thing.
Yeah, we definitely, that was doing artwork was
Oh,
just
you're not-
something. Sorry.
No, you're gonna.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, like having artwork on the albums, right? You see a lot of albums, people do a photo or something like that. And I remember,
Well, you don't get me started on that subject because I'll go into a whole rant about
man,
how much better albums were than CDs.
yeah.
Because you got stuff,
Yeah.
Well,
inserts,
that was the
pop-ups.
thing. That's
Yeah.
that's what we wanted our albums to be like, right? We wanted it to be something really, really cool that a music enthusiast is going to really like derive a lot of pleasure, right, from taking our album, having that book, flipping through it, and just going through the full catalog of work. Versus like when people, to me, and this is just me, right? I told Sebastian like, I prefer if you didn't do like, like don't put your picture, don't let's not do a band photo. You know what I mean? Like let's stay away from that stuff. You know what I mean? And let's go deeper with this. Let's go deeper with this.
Mhm.
This music is even deeper than you because when you're dead and gone and you have no physical being to put on an album cover, what is still out here? Well, there's deer roaming the earth and wolves and birds and nature and all of nature's wonders, right? And I think that that was really like the impetus for trying to, everything is artistic from the music to just looking at the album, and we want to make it as abstract, and we want to keep in that world of being abstract, being artistic, and never just being straightforward, right?
Oh yeah. I want to cut it. We got to take a break at 1:30, which is about. Oh no. Okay, the clock says 1:30, but the computer says 1:26. Well, that's good. I want to go out with some music. Hologround or chill.
I'll go Hollow Ground. You're gonna hear that one tomorrow night if you come to the show. So we'll send it out to the
All right.
people.
All right, so we're gonna do a 10. I'm gonna give you guys a break, and in case you need to do anything. We're gonna take a 10-minute commercial break and then come back, and we will exit with Hologround. Hologround. Don't tell me. Okay. It's off the A Place We Know album.
No,
No?
it's the first one. Yeah.
First
Remember
album.
what you're fighting.
Freshman album, yeah.
You got both albums right there, my lad.
Oh, yeah. I could.
No need
That's
to
true.
guess.
You got
I
the
could
cheat
disagree.
sheet. You got the cheat sheet.
No, I was trying to understand. All right.
Nah.
All right.
And you can, and the more you listen to this, you can hear which album, which song is
That's
from.
what I was trying to
Yeah.
do, but
Yeah.
Because-
I only got to listen to it once because they just sent it to me
Yeah,
yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. All right, let me get this started.
Cool. Yeah. Bouncing up.
Bulletproof.
All right. I'm gonna mute our Facebook. We're gonna be muting you guys too. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. All right, you're listening to Children of the Sun on WSTX AM 970, the soul of the Caribbean. We are joined in the studio today by Sebastian Franks, T-Rock, Davis, and Legrand, Josephya Lee. And let's go right into another one of the songs off the albums. Double album drop tomorrow night at Levels.
Which one are we looking at now? Hollow Ground, right?
Huh?
Which one are you playing now? Or you?
We got
you
Chill, or I could do.
What about Till the Work Is Done? You got that in there? Or even Getting Over You?
Watch Out, A Million Wonders. Which way you were telling? No, I didn't put them all in. I just queued up.
Gotcha. All right, we'll cue it up. Go ahead.
All right, let's do Million Wonders.
Sure.
Or
Yeah,
Watch
if you come
Out.
through tomorrow night, you'll hear this one.
You'll hear this one for sure. This is
Okay.
off the new album.
This is off of A Place We Know.
Oh. Tyrone took off.
We got a rehearsal tonight, so you
Ah.
had to run a couple things before. You take it to friend.
The problem is I just didn't go back and work. But that's how this works. We've always been just get on the ground and get the work done, you know. And we always had the problem. What was the hardest part about music? Practicing, right?
Time.
But it's funny. The thing about Peter, I think about Peter. It's like he prophesied he saw. And it's harder.
go hard and then like ease off, and then you can see when I'm struggling, and you pick me up and then you go hard.
Like you knew exactly how to play.
Yeah, because everybody learns differently. So things like
All right, you were just listening to A Million Wonders. You're just listening to A Million Wonders. So what was the genesis of that song?
oh man, what is that about? I don't know. I think that's something that it's tough for me because things just kind of happen and they come out, and it's always I generally learn about the song through other people's experiences.
So like you got
"Oh,
the song
think
you were
this-"
talking about earlier at the beginning, at the top of the show, about how you would just get you get an inspiration and you really like having the phone because you can dictate your inspiration before you lose it.
Yeah.
And then after you've made it, the song, and like most poets,
Sure.
you need other people to tell you what it meant,
Yeah,
because you just sort of channel right from spirit.
for sure.
And then well, yeah, and then
One of the most elaborate writers I've ever seen. Like is this like a psycho journaler, you know?
psycho journaler.
And it's crazy.
Qu'est-ce
Like
que c'est?
I remember when we would have like these writing sessions when we had the Politrix, and you know, what was it? You know, good friend of mine had a thought to keep us all satisfied. He said,
Oh, yeah.
"Learn how to live
We're not a
in this
swim.
ocean. Learn how to swim in this ocean of life, and live it till the day you die, or something."
Mhm.
And I'm like, you know, like the line always blew me away, and I'm like, "Where'd you get that?" And he's like, "You know, like Maynard from Tool," and I'm like, "No." So that was where like Sebastian, you know, and we had a lot of similar musical tastes, but then you know the people that he would turn me on to and open, we went and watched a Tool concert when we were in music school in Tampa,
Mhm.
and I mean like
Totally different than what we're doing now.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally different.
Opposite end.
But I guess the lessons that you can pull away are, you know, number one, the band, the artistry.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know anyone that really does it better than Tool. Like a Tool show is pretty special. You know, it's really special. And I shouldn't say anyone that, you know, that's not a fair statement, but among the best of the best who can go out there and execute every night at that level of artistry, you know. But, you know, it's
Yeah, and that's the inspiration. I mean, we went to that show being blown away, and at the time, you know, we're in school, and we're like, yeah, that's what we want to do. And it's like, yeah, and like, you know, we're gonna do this year, and we're gonna get really good, and we're gonna go buy that van, and we're gonna start touring the country. And it was like, again, you said I was a psycho journaler, but I actually started keeping a consistent journal at the beginning of music school because it was such an intense ride of just like self-exploration and everything. And I found that really helped to get stuff out, dump it out on the page. But I also have like this kind of, I don't know, it's a memory bank of just like where I can go back and be like, oh yeah. And I mean, I was pretty good. I was like every day there was at least like, or, you know, I missed a date, whatever, here or there. You know, it's a way to go back and just kind of see where you're at. And I remember first couple weeks of music school, and it was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna get really good this year, and then we're gonna buy that van, save up, buy that van. We're gonna go to LA. We're just gonna make it, and that's the dream. And I remember, like, you know, I completed the 1 year program, and it was probably years later that I saw that, and I burst out laughing because I was just like, you know, we were just having a side conversation about music school and like how how do you get good? And it's putting that time in and like really learning is all about being humble and listening and absorbing. And there's a lot of people that can't do that because and I again, this is just like a huge theme that we've been discussing this week and everything. But like, I mean, the ego gets in the way of so many things, and jealousy and spite and like all this stuff. And I mean, especially in the art world where it's like kind of cutthroat, where you're putting all your stuff out there all the time. I mean, it's intense, So it's I guess I forgot what my thought was there, but I was kind of rambling on.
Well, it's just going back to like, how do you create these, the lyrics, the lyrical content,
Yeah.
and the approach and stuff, and do songs have a meaning, or just and that's what I was alluding to with that line, was that that he put in this song that we wrote, by a Politrix song. And that'd be really cool, by the way, man, to throw, at a later show one day, just throw old Politrix tune in there. But no, like Sebastian would take a journal, right, that he wrote, and say 100 different pages, and you're right, he goes back and reads this stuff, and then what he does is whatever emotion he was feeling from riding on the tractor for 8 hours and having a sore back, and then having to come to our rehearsal and play for 3.5 hours that night, and then we always used to go down to the Dominican bars, and they make great food here in St. Croix, Chris Hideaway, I mean, they're still there, you know what I mean? And we would roll in Chris Hideaway at 1 in the morning, and those women there, ¿Qué quieres, mi amor? ¿Qué quieres, amor? And they would feed us, and then boom, and we would do this, Ray, like, at least 4 nights a week, and then play, at least a show on the weekend, sometimes 2 shows, but we were pretty all into this thing,
and I got recordings, and I'll tell you what, those days we did not sound good.
Yeah, I mean, and there's days today where we don't sound good, you know what I mean? But that's the thing in this.
But not tomorrow night at Levels.
No, man, it's like you have to, this is like a practice,
That was all the humbling experience of everything, like all that learning.
So, we're talking about earlier how like certain people don't listen, certain people can't listen. So, or like if one member in the band is out of sync with the other ones, there's a breakdown. In other words, what that really is, it's not bad music, it's a breakdown in communication, because what we're doing is having a conversation on the stage.
Right.
And even like in this song right here, A Million Wonders. Yeah, Tyrone. Like I had struggles this week with this tune, not in playing any of the note content, but it was the feel of it. It took me a minute, I've been in
What am I doing here?
I've been in Fort Lauderdale, yeah, man, like I've been up there doing different things, and so coming back to this music that I haven't touched in a while, it's been an amazing ride this week. We've been doing 2-a-days, like football preseason, like 2-a-days,
Like
2-day rehearsals.
Wow.
Yeah, we were probably anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day, actually playing. So it's been really special. It's been very rewarding, and like it's.
Is that when you say psychojournalist? Is that like
journaler,
psychojournaler? We were talking about where these songs come from.
Maybe serial is the word. He's a serial.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, like I think when I'm writing, it's like the place where I was at, like semicolon or colon. It has to be, because it's completely different.
Sure, yeah.
How people are going to read it.
Oh yeah.
Or
Definitely.
like I rework a paragraph 100 times. Like I'm doing like essays and stories, not songs. I'm not related. I'm a poet mind, but it's like every word. You got to pick the exact perfect word. On the other hand, I was thinking about somebody asked Elton John once. It's like you're a classically trained pianist. You're obviously a talented musician, composer. Do you ever think about like going to a higher level and getting into like classical music? And he said, you know, Beethoven took 10 years to write the Fifth Symphony, and I just don't take myself that seriously.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he certainly, you know, I think Sebastian's last live performance was in High Hopes in around 2017 or
16,
16.
February 2016. Yeah.
So, you know, this is
Tommy touched
definitely,
the stage.
you know, a big emotional build up for him, you know, and it has, but it's been beautiful. You know, the writing process of these albums.
Every day's been like an ultra marathon for like the last month for me, where it's just.
But even before that, man, when we wrote these albums, it was a marathon for him because he was working up in the Northeast. He wasn't really playing professionally, you know, and
it's a labor of love.
It's a labor of love, man. Yeah. He's neither one of us have ever really used this as a means to make money. You know, I don't need music to make money, and I really like to you know, keep it separate and think about it separately.
Mm-hmm.
I've never wanted to taint my music.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I think when it comes to this group here, we've always tried to maintain that purity and that integrity.
Serving the music.
Yeah. Because this is like really a healing force. So when these other things start coming into the equation, it comes through.
Well, that was like one, you know, when I first like was invited before, you know, when I first was inviting you to come on the show, I like picked up this vibe, and it's like this is a very spiritual. And this, you know, my show is fifth dimensional. I mean, positive energy from a fifth dimensional metaphysical point of view. So I try to bring people on that are contributing positive energy to the community, or sometimes I get like people from all, you know, like famous people contributing positive energy to the world. Reggae contributes positive energy to the world. You guys are starting out with positive energy to the Virgin Islands, but eventually you're going to be contributing positive energy to the world. So, and I was like, well, this is like I got this vibe. This is a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
And it's like I just, you know, somebody's brother. That's who I knew you were. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, guitar for midnight. What? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't know who you were. And I said, and I was saying, we want to come on the show. And he's like, yeah, but, and then pandemic, lockdown, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, just to speak to that, you know, it was just a real impactful time for a lot of people, and it just wasn't an appropriate time to come on and speak
oh no,
about,
that was fun. I was just, no, I'm not complaining. I'm saying,
because I wanted to I really liked the idea. I mean, I was honored, and it's really nothing about recognition, man. It's really more about, like, you know, there's someone out there listening right now that needs to hear this.
Right.
You know, there's some youth, man, that are playing instruments. There are different people. There's someone that's 20 that wants to get into music, that's never done it before. There's someone that's 30 that wants to get into it. You know, and we're here to tell you, man, like, do it.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
Everything's
you know what I mean? It's never too late to pursue a dream, to pursue a passion, you know, and so
everything happens at the right time, man.
But, you know,
man, I can attest to that.
There's a way to do things and to do it right. And you know, we have a song called Do It Right. Did you put that one? Did you cue that one in there?
No, you told me I could pick. I asked. Which ones do you want me to play? Yeah. Oh, they're all good.
Yeah, let's hear some more music.
All right. Oh, my. Oh, God. All right, let's go with this one. Oh, I think we might have a phone call. We'll pause this for a moment. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling in. You're on the air.
Oh, wonderful. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Simmons of Hope Incorporated. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, hey, thanks for calling in. I wanted to give you a chance to come on the air as well because tomorrow, in addition to a kick-ass concert at Levels
Yes,
at 8 o'clock, you guys are
yes,
doing something at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts.
we are. We are. So, Hope Incorporated stands for Helping Ordinary People Every Day to Be Extraordinary Through the Arts and Creative Expression. And so, we are hosting our first ever Survivor exhibit. So, as you may know, April 1st marks the recognition month for Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so Hope has hosted virtual interviews with survivors of domestic violence in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And now that we are out of the COVID phase, we are now hosting an in-person photo exhibit with photographer Shalana Stephanie Brown at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. with survivors from the U.S. Virgin Islands who have found the courage to share their experiences and how they've utilized art and how we are utilizing art through photography and writing to share our stories. So we are really looking forward to this. It's a groundbreaking event that has never really happened before. So we're looking forward to it.
And okay, great, Dr. Simmons. Thank you so much for calling in, and my best to Stephanie. And so that's at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. And you're right now. You are calling in from an Emancipation Day event, I believe,
I am
at UVI.
in two hats. Yes, so I'm currently attending the 175th Emancipation Educational Lecture at the University of the Virgin Islands. It is entitled Constitution versus Status. And so we actually launched our collaboration with the University of the Virgin Islands during their Charter Day last week. So that basically means that we're going to be collaborating over the next 18 months to host educational lectures on emancipation, as well as to focus on the traditional and cultural arts and utilizing the campus to be able to host those free events for the community. So today, we have several panelists that are talking about Constitution versus status. And I believe I stepped out as Basil Otley was speaking, but there are other speakers there, Dr. Hadia Sewer. There's also former Senator Delbert Bryan. So we have lots of panelists, and we're having that discussion today. So if folks are listening, they can join us. We'll be here until 4, and it's also streaming on our 175th Emancipation Celebration Facebook page.
Okay, and tomorrow night at 4 p.m. Tomorrow afternoon, I guess that is 4 p.m. They can go to Caribbean Museum and see the exhibit there.
Absolutely, they can join us at 4 p.m. We're going to have a brief introduction to talk about the inspiration for the exhibit because it is called the Reclaiming Spaces Survivor exhibit, and that has been inspired by Shalana Brown's exhibit that she did called Reclaiming Spaces, where she looked at the history of the sugar mills and how it served as both spaces of oppression, but also spaces of tourism and freedom in a different way. And so we're doing the same with the photo exhibit of Reclaiming Spaces. We're looking at our experiences as survivors of domestic violence, child abuse, and sexual violence to look at the ways that we have been oppressed, but also how we've used those same experiences to heal. And so we're going to be launching that at 4 p.m. tomorrow until 6. We will have some free awareness drinks as well, because our colors are blue, teal, and purple. And of course, we invite folks to come and engage with the
Did you say free awareness drinks?
I sure did.
I'm curious now.
Absolutely. With something as traumatic and deep as, domestic violence and sexual violence, sometimes a little libation helps to loosen things up. So we're as we look at the photography and engage with the survivors. So, it'll be an excellent event.
And it's so it's great, the way it worked out. So I couldn't have you on in the studio for the opening reception, but the exhibit goes on, and if you can come into the studio during the course of the exhibit, like the whole thing about all the intersectionality of all the different forms of the history and the oppression and faces and spaces. I'm really curious about all that. So if you wanted to come in sometime on a Friday and talk about it, I'd be more than happy to have you in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I thank you so much for that, because we were just awarded a grant as well, and we wrote it and called it Emancipation Through Embodiment, Entrepreneurship, and the Arts. And so it kind of builds on what we're doing with the exhibit, but also talks about the intersection of emancipation as well. So I will be happy to join you again. And the exhibit runs until the 15th, so I encourage folks to join, and check it out, even if they don't make it tomorrow. And I will definitely be back so we can chat some more.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Simmons. Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much. All right.
Have a great weekend.
Bye. You too.
Thank you. All right, and we're playing chill. Which kind of like
What else did you have in there?
we've got Consequence or Reward, Watch Out, Through the Ether, Hologram, which we played, Chill.
Consequence or Reward.
Yeah, you know what? Oh, I can't prove it now because I left my scratch paper at home. That was the first song I wrote down.
Yeah, this one's not on the set list for tomorrow night, but we will have CDs of both albums. We'll have stickers and pins and stuff, so you can definitely come pick up your copies at Levels tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Oh yeah, we also have a music video.
So it's playing. How can I be the only one I am to do after all these years and the challenging days? Centuries ago, mankind could never dream of a world that is so distracted and unaware. We were built for discovery, so curious and unsure. We cannot afford to waste one man. Every apple has a blossom, like every lock must have a key. All your seven, all your secrets just to see. Eventually, will we ever to settle down? Or will we wander forever aimlessly around? And the sickness, I'm still falling on the hell. And the forest on my left hand above the world. The lessons that we prayed for the boundaries that we soared. Questions still remain with no surprise. Are you listening to Children's WSTXA 970, broadcasting from beautiful St. Croix in the Caribbean Sea, 2:12 AST, Atlantic Standard Time, because we are in the Caribbean, and you're listening to Consequence or Reward off the double album drop, something to celebrate tomorrow night at Levels from Sebastian Franks, Ross Salmon Records producing. Being joined in the studio right now by Legrand and Sebastian Franks, Tyrone, Davis doing drums, took off. You here earlier. Also, we got Earthbound Studios in the studio filming everything, documenting the whole process.
The whole.
Are these we're live here?
Yes.
I called Sebastian and I said, you got to call Franklin. I said, we can't do this without Franklin. And I told him, that.
This is a perfect time to introduce Franklin, my good friend, who Franklin Tulloch, who's
You want to be on cameraman?
he's a
That's fine.
he's a
I'm
film
normally
director,
behind it,
producer,
Put him on there. Put him
and
on.
he's
Let him
he's done a lot of really great projects down here with Noah, and just a huge advocate for these beautiful
The environment.
Caribbean islands.
see. Yeah.
And yeah, and he I met him a while back through playing with the band that I previously played with, and High Hopes, and yeah, just he actually has made. He came to me after we had kind of made a connection about. I mean, he loves music, and he's constantly he hears something, he has a vision, and so yeah, he's done 3 or 4.
One not released, but 4.
Yeah, we're currently working on another music video, but yeah, it's been really great. So there's a music video out for that track, actually, Consequence of Reward. It's out on YouTube, and so definitely.
What's going on here? Oh no, you're white. He thinks he's standing in front of a green. His white T-shirt is blending right in with our. Yeah.
Which is funny because the music video we're working on, we have some green screen and blue screen stuff, so we've been kind of playing with that a bit. It's yeah.
Oh, cool. Is there anything logistically that you want people to know about levels tomorrow night? Like, I don't know.
I mean,
Get
you
early,
definitely
park.
want to get there because it's going to be something really special.
We're going to be selling albums.
Yeah, we're going to have merch out there. We got CDs and stickers and fridge magnets and pins and stuff. So if you get there early, you'll be able to get some. So that would be some incentive there. There's going to be it's going to be a wicked show. I mean, from what we've all seen as from the musician side, we're saying it's going to be a wicked show. So I mean that should mean something that anybody that cares about music, you're not going to want to miss this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not every day. I mean, that people are putting just this type of intention into music and this much energy into this.
I mean, I can tell right. It's going to be like. It's going to be like.
So it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Like me and Off the Wall and my friend in Midnight. Were you here? Were you there?
A real word
Yeah.
sound power. You know what I mean? This that we're going to bring. So, yeah, we're definitely looking forward to just seeing. Just all the faces that we've been accustomed to seeing over the years, And,
Yeah.
You want to see all your friends and some new ones.
Oh
too.
yeah, seriously. If you know any of us in the band, then we hope to see you out there. I mean, it's gonna be a vibe for sure.
All right, and let's see. Well, you want to play? Do you want to Well, what anything final that you'd like to say before we wrap it up? We can. Let me see if I can. Because I don't want to play your entire album.
That's a good one there.
Yeah.
Watch out. I was interested to see your song selection, and that's why I didn't pick. Right?
Yeah.
And it goes to show you because what I think are the best are not what people. It's like I don't know, man.
Oops. Okay. That's what's up. Yeah, I was trying to get like a cross, like a different, a cross section of songs, like some political, some kind of like and different, highlighting different musicians. Um, you can't hear it. It's playing out over the radio. I just have the speaker turned off in here so we can.
Just leave it low. Like, can we still talk and leave it low?
Yeah.
I haven't heard this song in a long time, man. It's a really good song.
Remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, why? I mean, it makes you wonder, like, why didn't we throw this on there?
On the playlist for tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, yeah, for the set list, I didn't get a lot of feedback. Well, I asked you, and you.
Yeah,
made
the same thing you did to me. Which one songs should I play? Oh,
Yeah, I don't know, they're all good.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just kind of took everything and I mapped it out by different, up tempo, down tempo, and took my 14 favorite songs from both albums and mashed them all together. And
Oh,
it's funny because the favorites they constantly change now that we're listening to these again. Like it's, we're hearing all these songs for the first time live, and it's yeah, my feelings about each song has changed for quite a bit, and it's cool.
Well, if you don't want to like people to have like the exact same experience going to the concert and buying the CDs.
Oh, they're two totally different experiences, and I guarantee that after this show, going back and listening to that album will be a different experience if you've heard any of the music before it. And because I just know personally that when I grew up 80s, 90s, and the beginning of CDs and stuff, and when you get an album and you listen to it, you while you're going through the jacket, all the liner notes, who was playing on each track, who produced it, where it was produced, all the album artwork, all that was like a connection to the musician, and I still that's an important part of the experience for me. But I know that listening to that studio album, and then if I ever got to see them, going back and listening to that studio album again is just it's a different thing, because now you have this connection with the band. You don't just have your own little personal connection of reading the liner notes and stuff, which for me as a little kid, that was huge. I felt like these are my friends, kind of, because they're sharing these kind of journal entries or handwritten songs. That's their handwriting, that's their scribbling something out and writing something out, or writing something else, or even on the recording they said something differently, so it was some from the handwritten thing it changes to be something else. So yeah, I mean, those experiences are all different, and I guarantee anything you hear now will sound different in a positive way live. And yeah, so man, that's what we're all about. That's what we're doing.
Well, so I think everybody should be at Level tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely want to see some faces. Hope you're all coming through.
Yeah.
8 o'clock, and the vibes are going to be right. And yeah, you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be really special.
You guys make sure you're out there tomorrow night, Saturday, April 1st, 8 p.m. Doors open, 9 o'clock music. Don't do it. Just 8 o'clock. Be there at 8. Be there at 7 so you can get a good seat and get a refrigerator.
I mean, if you want a CD or stickers or anything, definitely get there early, because that's going to sell out. We only brought a limited amount, so get it while it's hot.
All right. Thank you guys for coming in. Really
Thank you so much, Ray. I really appreciate it.
I am looking forward to the concert tomorrow. And no more music from you guys. I mean,
oh yeah, this is just the beginning. The cat is out of the bag.
Cat is out of the bag. You guys hear that? Oh, it keeps going. Why is it keep adding a 5 to this? That's really interesting. Loaders and go. I'm going to play my exit music, or should I go with that? I'm just. Okay, you know what? Instead of exiting with my theme music, in case you didn't notice, the name of the show is Children of the Sun, and the theme music is Billy Thorpe, Children of the Sun. It's like, I thought of that all by myself.
Well, did you hear in the Million Wonders? There's a line that says, "Beautiful creatures, children of the sun."
Oh, wow!
Take it out with the Million Wonders, man.
Okay. Excellent. No, I missed that. So, Million Wonders. I'm gonna go out with. Oh, it's right there. Already got it in the queue. All right, okay. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good weekend. Get out in nature, get in the water, get in a tree, get your energy body clean, and we will see you next Friday, 12:30. And I'm going to exit with A Million Wonders because it's got a Children of the Sun reference in it. And you've been listening to Children of the Sun on WSTX AM 970, Soul of the Caribbean. All right, Facebook, thank you for tuning in.
See you next time.